Good morning, students. Am I audible? Please confirm in the chat box. Students, am I audible? Please confirm. Thank you for confirming, students. Let's proceed with our day 2 session. But before that, let's take a quick recap of what we have discussed yesterday. As I've told you, my name is Ratu, and our course duration is of 40 days, and the course fee is always mentioned. In case of any support, you can contact our support team, which is mentioned below. Numbers are given below. And you can always mail them at support@logiclabstech.com. So let's proceed. Let's proceed what we have discussed yesterday. Let's take a quick recap. So, yesterday we started discussing about introduction to Python. First of all, we discussed what is Python. Python is nothing, but it is a general purpose, simple, platform independent, highly interpreted and high level programming language. So these are the key features of Python, that this is a simple, platform independent, highly interpreted and high level programming language. So these are the key features which we'll discuss further. Then we discussed about the kinds of applications one can develop by using Python. In that, we discussed about, with the help of Python, we can go ahead with the website development. We can go ahead with the gaming applications, artificial intelligence, like machine learning, deep learning. We can learn the desktop GUI. GUI means graphical user interface applications, then image processing applications. Then we can go ahead with the audio and video based applications such as YouTube. Web scraping, harvesting applications, data visualizations, numerical and complex mathematical operations we can solve with the help of Python. So these are lot many applications which we can develop with the help of Python. We can go ahead with the CAD and CAM applications, IoT based applications, data analysis and data analytics. So lot many things are there. So who students who are new to the Python, don't you worry about it. Don't you worry about it. We'll definitely go ahead and learn the Python in that way, because this is a session from the scratch. This is a session from the scratch where you can actually go ahead and learn it properly. Okay, now let's go ahead. Now let's start with the Python. Yesterday we discussed about the history of Python, that it was conceived in the year 1980, but it was implemented in the year 1989. Python programming language was officially released, although it was implemented in year 1989, but officially it was released in the industry in the year 1991, February 20. Python programming language was developed by Guido van Rossum. He is the father of the Python programming language. And this was developed at Centrum Wiskunde Informatica, that is CWI Institute in Netherlands. ABC programming language is the predecessor of the Python programming language. Now it is managed and maintained by a non-commercial organization, that is PSF, Python Software Foundation. So the official website of Python Software Foundation is www.python.org. Please, you need to remember this. You just need to go through it. Go through the website from any of the Chrome or whatever you're using. Whatever browsing server you're using, you just need to go through that. www.python.org. There you need to go to the downloads and you need to download the latest version, that is 3.12.0. Now, versions which the MNCs are using. Versions is the numerical identity of the project vendor. Now, we have three types of major versions. One is 1.x. Now, in which one is the major version? And whatever comes after point, like x, y, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 till 7, these are the minor versions. But now, 1.1 version is outdated and Python does not support the backward compatibility. Although 2.x is also not the latest version. The latest version is 3.12. But still some MNCs are using the 2.x or 2.7 versions. Okay. Nowadays, 3.x in 3 is the major version. After that, 1, 2, 3 till 12 are the minor versions. So 3.12 is the latest version, which is released nearby in October. Now let's go ahead. So we always recommend you to download 3.12.0 version from www.python.org. Do you want me to go ahead and tell you how to download it? Although I have already told it yesterday, but if you want me to share it with you, I'll share that. Please confirm in the chat box in case if you want me to help you out in that. Now let's go ahead. We started discussing about the features of Python. First of all, we need to know what are the features. What do we understand by the features? Features are nothing. Features are nothing but the services and facilities provided by the language provider, language developers. Venkat is asking me, please do share. What do you want me to share? You want me to tell you how to download the process? Do you want me to do that? Okay, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. Just a second. Let's go ahead with that. Just go to Chrome. Just a second, students. Just go to Chrome. Now, here you need to go ahead with www.python.org, which is the official website. Just go through it. And here in the downloads, you'll get the screen like this. In the downloads, you need to download this 3.12.0. Once you click on it, it will start downloading. After that, open this. Then you need to accept all the terms and conditions. Install now. Although it is already installed in my system, so I'm not going to make any changes. So you need to click on install now. After that, you need to accept all the terms and conditions. Then it will start working. Okay. Then you will get the screen like this. You'll get the screen like this. Here, you need to make the changes. In case you want to make the changes, just click on this. Go to the properties, because there you can set the font size and the font as well. Font size and font as well. Now let's go ahead. Any questions now? No questions. Let's proceed further. So we were discussing about the features. These are the services provided by the language developers in the language, and it is used by the it is used for developing the real-time applications. So it has the 11 features we discussed: simple, freeware and open source, platform independent language, dynamically typed programming language, interpreted, high-level programming language, robust, extensible and embedded, both functional and object-oriented programming language. It also supports the third-party APIs such as NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, SkyPy, Scikit, etc. So what are the third-party APIs? APIs are the application programming interface. We'll discuss about it next. Now we need to know that Python is inspired from the 4 different programming languages. It has learned the functional programming language from C. It has learned object-oriented programming from C++, modular programming language from Modulo 3, and scripting programming from Perl. Now, why it is simple? Python is a simple language because of the 3 factors. The first factor is it provides the rich set of APIs. As I've told you, APIs are nothing but the application programming interface. This is also known as the libraries. So that the Python programmer can reuse the predefined code without writing their own code. They need not to write their own code. They can always reuse the predefined code. So Python-based applications are easy to develop. Now, APIs is also the collection of modules. It is also known as the collection of modules, and module is a collection of functions, variables, and classes. Functions, variables, and classes. Next, because of its second factor is its garbage collector facility. What is the garbage collector? Garbage collector comes and removes the unused memory space and improves the performance of Python-based applications. So hence, garbage collector takes care of the automatic memory management. Third factor is because it provides the user-friendly syntaxes. As I've told you, syntaxes are nothing is equivalent to the formulas which are provided in the mathematics. So syntaxes are nothing but the equivalent to formulas. So that Python programming can develop the error-free programming in limited span of time. So it provided the user-friendly syntaxes. Second is platform independent language. Platform independent language, it is known as the platform independent language because its data type remains same on all the OSs. Okay, and the effective platform independent language saves all the values in the form of objects. So whatever we store in the Python, it is stored in the form of objects, and that is why we can store the unlimited amount of data. Okay, so as we know that Java is size restricted, but in case if we talk about Python, we can store the unlimited size and unlimited values can be stored in Python programming language. Now, freeware and open source. Why it is freeware and open source? It is said to be freeware because it can be downloaded freely from its official website, as I've shown you. Now, open source because the standard name of Python is the CPython. Some of the company vendors came forward and customized the CPythons according to their in-house tools. Like some of the distributions of Python are Java-based applications. If we are running, they use JPython or Jython. IronPython is used to run the C#.NET applications. MicroPython, it is used to develop the microcontrollers. then Ruby Python for the Ruby-based application, and Anaconda Python used to run the Hadoop applications. Hadoop applications means big data applications. So now, fourth feature is dynamically typed programming language. I have told you in the static type, we have two types of programming language. One is a static type and second is a dynamically type. Now, what is static type? Static type, Java is a static type language where we need to mention that what type of variable it is. Like, I've given an example here that int a, b, c. Here, declaration of variable is mandatory. Like a is 10, b is 20, c is a plus b. So what is this? This is integer value. So declaration is mandatory here. But if we talk about the dynamically typed programming language, we need not to mention it. Let me give you an example. Let's go ahead. Sorry. Sorry, students, just a second. Okay. Like if I write a is equal to 10, b is equal to 2.0, c is equal to a plus b. Now here we need not to mention it. Now if I write print a, comma type of a, we'll come to know that what type of value it is. Now if I write print b, type of b. So this is a class float. Now print c, type of c. Got it. So we need not to mention it. Declaration is not mandatory here. Okay. So that is the only reason it is called a dynamically typed programming language. Now, any questions still here? Any questions still here? No questions. Very good. Now let's proceed further. Okay. Now this is a day 2. Features of Python continued. Now, fifth features is it is interpreted programming language. Interpreted programming language means whenever we develop any Python program, we must give some file name with an extension .py. So whatever file we'll save, we need to save with the extension .py. File name .py. Let me show you with example. Let's go ahead. So in the programs, whatever file I'm saving, I need to save it with the .py extension. .py extension. Although it is saved in the Python file, so we need not to mention it. It will automatically take care of .py extension. Let me show you. See. It will be saved with the .py extension. So, as I've told you, that whatever file we'll save, we need to save it with the .py extension. So whenever we execute the Python programming language, two processes takes place internally. One is a compilation process and second is the execution process. Now, what is the difference between the compilation process and execution process? Compilation process in which the source code submitted to the Python compiler and it save it in the bytecode with the extension .pyc. Please remember, this is the internal process. Python source code submitted to the Python compiler, and it reads the source code, check for the errors by verifying the syntaxes. And if no errors found, please remember, it will only save the source code if there is no error. Python compilers convert it into the intermediate code, that is a bytecode with an extension .pyc. So internally, it saved the file with an extension that is filename.pyc. And if the error found, then the source code display the error. In the execution process, the PVM reads the Python intermediate code, which is the intermediate code, that is a byte code. Line by line, convert it into the machine understandable language. So we all know what is a machine understandable language. It is a binary language, right? It is read by the OS and processor, and finally gives the result. Let me show you with the help of diagram. See, this is a file which I have saved, that is sum.py. Now, what does the compilation process takes place? Python compiler, what does it do? It reads the source code. It reads the source code line by line and convert it into the intermediate code, that is sum.pyc, which is a byte code, right? And later on, PVM executions takes place. If no errors found, if the error found, it will display the error. And if no error found, then the PVM execution takes place. It reads it line by line and convert it into the machine understandable format, that is a binary code, and read by the OS and gives the result. Is it clear to you, students? Any questions? No questions. No questions. Very good. Let's proceed. Now, hence in Python programming, compilation process and execution process is taking place line by line conversion, and it is one of the interpretation-based programming language. Now, what do we understand by PVM? As I've told you that PVM reads the Python intermediate code. What is PVM? PVM is one of the PVM means Python virtual machine. It is one program in Python software. What does the PVM do? It reads the code line by line and converts it into the machine understandable code. That is a binary code. Is this clear to you guys? Is this clear to you guys? Let's go ahead. Now, high-level programming language. Now, what do we understand by high-level programming language? In general, we have two types of programming language. One is a low-level programming language, and second is a high-level programming language. Now, what is the difference between low-level and high-level programming language? In these programming languages, we represent the data in the lower level data like binary, octal, hexadecimal, and this data is not default understandable by the programmer and the end user. Now, what happens is in this, if we write the code like this, 0B, whenever we use the binary code, we need to use 0B. Whenever we are using the octal data, we need to use 0O and hexadecimal 0x. And if you're writing something, it is not understandable by the binary, by the end user. But in the octal also and hexadecimal also. But in case, if we'll use it in the Python programming, it will automatically convert it into the decimal format, which is a format understandable by the end user. Let me show you with the example. Like if I'm writing 0B 111 0000. Just a second. A is equal to 0B 111 000 111. We know that binary, in binary numbers we have 0 and 1 only. Now, if I write print A, I'll get the output. This is something which is understandable by the end user. It will automatically convert it into the language which is understandable by the end user. Now let me write 0O, A is equal to 0O 213. Now print A, converted. Now if I write A is equal to 0x, which is a hexadecimal format, I'll write 1 2 FA. Now print A, got the output. Now how this process takes place, how automatically this conversion takes place, I'll tell you about it. I'll tell you about it in our other classes. Okay, now let's go ahead. So we have come to know what is a low-level programming language and what is a high-level programming language. In this programming language, we represent the data in the lower level data like binary, octal, and hexadecimal. The high-level programming language automatically converts it into the decimal number system data, which is understandable by the end users. And Python is one of the high-level programming language. Now let's go ahead. It is a robust language. Robust, why it is robust? Because of its exception handling. Now, what are exceptions? Exceptions are the runtime errors. Whenever we'll run the program, we'll get the exceptions, we'll get the error. So exceptions by default generate the technical error messages, and handling those exceptions and converting those technical error messages into user-friendly error messages is called the exception handling. So it is robust because of its exception handling. In the Python program uses exception handling, so that is why it is a robust language. Extensible, Python programming, giving its programming facilities to the other languages also, like C++. Python code can also be written in the C++ language also, in the Java also. So that is why Python is one of the extensible programming language. Embedded. Python program can call the other language coding segments for fastest execution. Like it can also call the C programming language for its fastest execution. So that is why it is known as the embedded programming language. Extensible because it supports the third-party APIs. It supports the third-party APIs like NumPy, Pandas, which is an analysis tool, and NumPy is a numerical calculations. So with the support of third-party APIs, it helps us in the performance of the language, right? The Python language. Now, if it's unable to perform the complex operations, it takes the help of NumPy. Okay, and in case of analysis tool, it uses the Pandas. Matplotlib, it uses for data visualization. Same, it uses SciPy and Scikit also. In our sessions, we'll discuss about the NumPy and Pandas also when we'll go ahead with the advanced Python. Let's go ahead. Now we are going to discuss about identifiers and literals in Python. So we are done with the features. Any questions? You can raise your hands or you can ask me in the chat box. Now, we are going to discuss about identifiers and literals. Let's go ahead. Literals are nothing but the values passing to the Python program. So programmatically, whenever we write any program, programming language, it must enter the inputs such as literals and values. So all types of values are called the literals. In Python, we have five types of literals. Integer literal, floating literal, str literal, Boolean literals, and collection literals. Students, rest we'll discuss tomorrow. Because as I'm facing some issues with my system. Is there any question? You can raise your hand. Its power code is not working. Any questions? No questions. So can we proceed this session tomorrow because I'm facing some issues with my power cord? So that's all for the session today, students. That's all for the session today. In case you have any queries, as I've told you, you can always mail me on my mail ID, that is ritu.logiclabs@gmail.com. And you can contact our support team also. So that's all for the session. See you tomorrow, same time. Till then, take care of yourself. Goodbye.